Hi, Christian.
Hey, you
Hey,
doing well?
hello, Tex. How are you?
Doing well overall. Finally got the baby to sleep.
Okay. Good, good.
Hey, Wayne.
Hi, good to see you.
Same to y'all. I'll finally be able to make the commercialization working group. It's only been a couple months.
Nice, nice, nice. I think I managed to make it to the last one, but
Okay,
I was still kind of sick and tired. But this time around, I'm in much better shape. So,
I gotcha. Yeah, with the baby, I've had to work earlier mornings, so on my later meetings, I got to move up now. I'm wondering if it makes sense to move the commercialization back up based on attendance or not.
it would definitely work better for me personally, but I can't comment as to anyone else.
Yeah, I got to catch up with Chris on it as well. Hey, Jurgen. Hey, Sandeep. Jordan.
Hello,
Christian.
hello.
Sorry, my bandwidth's low. That's why my camera's off. I got to get a whole new router set up. Rather than being scammed by the internet provider, I bought my own, and now it's at its 5-year end of life cycle.
I must say, I'll be very hopeful to see an application from you in October if you feel confident enough.
Oh, you made it.
Hey everyone.
Hey,
Sorry, I'm
Lucas.
just getting set up here. How you been?
Good.
Um,
Fixing everything out.
I don't want to hold you up in starting the call, so maybe I would ask Tex to, when we have quorum and everything, just bring up the minutes and maybe start going over them. I'm just getting set up here, like I said. I'll be more attentively with you in a second.
Yeah, no worries. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. All right. Still waiting on a few more, but it looks like people will just fill in here a little bit, or file in, I should say. Welcome to the Open Source Committee meeting. Today is May 29th. Here we have on the screen the minutes from last time we met. So we're on a bi-weekly cadence right now. Some of you all may have seen, most of you all may have seen, I would hope, some new invites coming through, and some of those on a weekly, or both of those, I guess the new ones are on a weekly cadence. Just trying to bump up the participation here a little bit and kind of facilitate until, how do we say it here? We'll facilitate weekly sessions until a point where we know we have the async working as it should be. But we do have some focuses as far as the agenda set, bring everybody up to speed, a little bit more so than just the onboarding. And then the developer advocate program is going to be a big focus as we hope to get that started by the beginning of August. So for reference, because that wasn't the budget law, that's a whole separate agenda item. So I'll get there later on. Just a reminder, this is live on Giftbook. The meeting itself, the recorded meeting, is live on YouTube. You also have the access to the recording here, just in Google Drive link, and then transcript and chat transcript if you prefer to read. The agenda last week, it was really just last time we met was really just thrown together. But we did get a big update from Christian as far as where we stand from work that we're doing through the open source office. We also talked a little bit about the open source strategy. Now, I did pull that back up, I believe yesterday. Have not seen any progress on that. So that speaks to what I mentioned just a few moments ago of trying to increase the meetings temporarily here to get a focus back on what needs to be done async. So if you have not had a chance to look at the open source strategy, the notes doc, and how we should reorganize that is what the decision was last I knew. Please do make sure that you go in there and leave your comments or whichever to start adjusting and moving that around. Basically, there's 5 goals. Hop back over here, I'm sorry. So the strategy itself, we talked about leaving this chart in here. The elements, which will stay the same, the core values staying the same again, strategic pillars, but the goals and actions. So we talked about making these timelines more achievable, so over a longer period of time, but then also taking out what has already been accomplished and reprioritizing what should be done and when. So any ideas that you have on that would be really good to, at the very least, leave a comment or even just move it around and suggest how we change that out. But let me jump back to the minutes here. Just a reminder, there was the decisions or action items here. This basically is just a capture of anything that we discussed. So these are the high level points. I did get the agenda to click up there. Of course, Lucas is always making sure to share his notes as a copy for you guys to go back and look over. The recording and slides are all in that chat transcript if you didn't have it otherwise, so on and so forth. So if there are any questions here, definitely just let us know. What I will do now is I will hop over to today's agenda. So we just finished our recap portion. What we're going to do is we're going to go seat by seat. This is not going to be a regular occurrence per se, not in any form of like happens in some other meetings, but we just want to hear check-in from everybody. Now that we have most of you in here, it's a matter of, hey, what's going on? How's everything going with you joining the committee? What have you been working on, and what can we look for or expect to see from you here in the next couple of months? Or are there any blockers over the next month or two that we should be aware of currently? Lucas, if you're ready, we can start with you, or we can just popcorn to any voting committee member.
Yeah, I can jump in. Well, that's the thing. For the last 2 weeks, I took a quick look at the strategy document. I couldn't find anything that was worth mentioning in terms of changing things. And overall, what we've done is, what I've done is, yeah, we were meeting to facilitate and prepare the topics for this call. I also hosted a call last Friday with all the developer the governance tool builders. And that went really well. I'm looking forward to give you an update on that later in this call. But that's my quick check-in. Does anyone want to jump in? Maybe we could raise hands to streamline it. I see Elaine.
Yeah, sure. I can go up next. Yeah, so I'm still pretty new because I had a lot of my start delayed due to being very sick for a while. Better now. I participated in the GovTools meeting to try to like get more information about like the various GovTools like stuff that was offered through various parties. Yeah, Lucas did like most of the like extracting information out of everyone's head on that, but yeah, that seems like something that could be could be very beneficial consolidating, especially now that Gov tools, like the main Gov tool, has like its funding like cut and stuff. In terms of stuff that I'm working on or anticipating to work on, and what I could use help with, I'm looking more towards. I'm looking to work on the commercialization working group more, but I have. I guess I need to ask the commercialization working group a little bit more about their internal workings, because last time I joined, it seems like they have like a very separate like agenda from everything, because they seem to predate like the OSC and stuff. So yeah, anything I could work on, any projects with that I could work on that people could point me to would be very helpful, especially like with respect to the like evangelism like projects. Yeah.
Thank you. Making notes. Does anyone want to jump in next and share a bit what you've done, or what you've done the past 2 weeks regarding with OSC, or what would you envision yourself picking up from what we have in our radar?
Jörg, Adam, Sebastian, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. From my side, last week I participated in a call organized by Arno, and the topic was revolves around the how to coordinate the compensation and the participation of the contributors in general. It was a really nice conversation about the topic, right? Christian was there, and we had the opportunity to know a pretty nice project with a lot of possibilities in that area, right? Very nice, and that puts on the table the topic, right? How we will coordinate the efforts around the contributors in the Cardano development ecosystem. We are in the process that I admire the work Arno is doing. From the beginning, he's trying to bring new initiatives and new ways to participation. That's pretty nice. For the other side, my project, I'm part of a project that in this moment is involved in all these incubation and acceleration initiatives that are taking part in this moment in the ecosystem, right? That's part of my daily job, but I think I can bring some kind of learnings and expertise in that way, in how currently the acceleration and the incubation of projects is being fostered in this moment in the ecosystem, right? Because it's an initial stage in general. All these initiatives around support projects to go to the next stage. The Draper University, the CFs, the CV. We have a lot in this moment in comparison to the recent past. So I think I can bring that kind of learnings and mainly learnings about how we can bring that into the Intersect initiatives, own initiatives around the open source projects. Yeah, that's from my side. Thanks a lot.
Georg?
Hello, everyone. My name is Georg. I was not here last time because I was on vacation and offline, completely offline. So I'll catch up on the introductions that you all did last week. I'm an open source strategist at Biturgia and director of sales. I have researched corporate engagement in open source and have done several publications on that interaction between companies and open source communities. Right now, I'm working on a research project with Swedish and US professor on the funding in open source. So there's a lot of background here that I'm happy to share. I was helping with the paid open source model and validating that when that was developed. And so one of or two of my focuses going forward is the paid open source model. What do we need to do to get that going, especially now that we have the funding? I hope we can implement the programs that are part of it soon. And then the other part that I think is really important for us as the open source committee is that we track the process, the progress, and have metrics in place to tell the story of how the paid open source model is working, how the open source that we are building around the Cardano projects is growing and maturing, and that we can tell that story. So, Adam, I know we don't have the funding yet, but it's anyway. It's a complicated topic. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Georg. Can anyone jump in next? Does anyone else want to share a bit?
Adam, are you able to speak at all?
I mean, I can. From my standpoint, I mean, like my contributions to open source have been doing my own code for the past 2 weeks and then months before that, because I feel like right now this committee is a little bit lacking in purpose, you know, kind of like Jörg was saying, until we get that funding unlocked and actually have some of these programs up and going, it doesn't seem like there's substantially much work for the committee to actually do. I can't remember the last time we actually had a consensus-driven vote of the committee to actually forward a work item. So at the moment, it seems basically like we get a bi-weekly update on what you and Christian are working on, and then we sit around and type in the chat a little bit. So at the moment, I'm wondering, what does this committee do? What is our mandate? What are we supposed to be doing for the open source system, the open source ecosystem in Cardano? And yeah, that's kind of where I am at with this particular committee in Intersect.
Super cool. Definitely thanks for voicing all of that, Adam. Christian?
Yeah. Well, as everyone knows, I've been catching up, but last week was just kind of like where we were. So to your point there, Adam, that's what that is. But now we're going to be getting committee involvement on stuff. I'm about to send, when we're talking about the paid open source model, you need frameworks to run all these things. The documents are drafted, have some peer review. We need committee consensus on what we're doing and also guidelines of setting up how we're going to allocate funding, like what are the do's and don'ts, i.e., and how do you get the cross-pollination to where we're not paying the same person in all three programs per se, delineation that way. And we also need to get the tooling working group set up and figure out how we going to bring in projects, build the charter from there. So yeah, more to come.
Anybody that did not get a chance to speak yet, as far as voting committee members, I think we got everybody that's here. Okay. Moving on to the next one, we have the Developer Advocate Program. What we are targeting, what I am targeting here, again, the OSC is taking this on as a budget item. My understanding from previous, and I'm happy to be corrected if I have this mistaken, but I would still take on the primary management of this. But you all have the opportunity to direct some different things about the program itself. So I'm targeting an application start date of June 16th that would run through June 30th. The month of July would be used for selection and review of the applicants. I've already started some conversations where I'm hoping that I can get this on the Cardano developer website that's hosted by CF. So we should have a good link there, and also some other marketing efforts as well. And then the hopeful start date for the new cohort of developer advocates is the 4th of August. So just that first Monday in August. That would essentially run through April of next year, a 9-month term. Basically, our developer advocates, we had this last run that served 9 months. And as opposed to that running for a full year, obviously anything that's left over, we can return to the treasury, or if we need to be having them for 12 months, we can just do August to August. But having a little bit of a break in between cohorts does give us an opportunity to make changes to the program as needed. So if that's going in any proper direction, please let me know. But if anything, we do have some individual sessions that I set up over the next 8 weeks for us to make sure that that program is ready to go, with any and all feedback from the OSC members by August the 4th.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to get in on those meetings about the developer advocate program.
Got this set on Mondays currently. I know that's probably not the favorite day for a meeting, but that's what we've got for right now. So, and actually, Elaine, it's a little bit late. So what I can do is, well, it's late or super early. Early Tuesday is what it would be for you. But I can sync with you separately, or we can talk about moving that cadence as well. So.
What time UTC is it? Do you know?
Like 5 or 6 UTC, I think.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely get in touch with you about the time stuff, because anything before maybe like 5 a.m. I probably can't do.
Okay. Yeah. No, we'll go through it. Just ping me separately, and you can maybe DM in Discord or whichever. We'll work it out. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the developer advocate program. Any other questions? You did? Sorry. Is he frozen?
Tex, can I add something?
Yes.
Sorry. Just thought to add one or two updates from developer advocate side. While the funding and all those things are paused, but we continuing to work together with the developers. We have a developer experience working group weekly call still continuing. So that's Alex and myself, we do 1 week, and another week Bernard and Suganya do it. So that's continuing. Attendance there vary time to time, but like still at least the continuity is there. Additionally, from my side, I can say yesterday we had a very good session for the Cardano India developers on Mesh.js SDK from Jingles. So it was very well attended in a workshop mode, and about 34 developers attended it. And I think it was pretty good session. And I'm also aware that about 20 of them are actually actively working on Cardano as well. So it was pretty good. And I would like to send you text about synopsis of the yesterday's kind of event. So maybe you can include if you feel it. So that's the update from my side.
Yes, please. And if you'd send that as soon as possible, I can even see if that needs to be highlighted. I might still have some time to get that in our weekly report. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So next here on the agenda, we do have the co-chair election prep. So if there is consensus in this meeting, we can nominate who the co-chair would be. Again, the hopeful nature is that this would be somebody who is willing to take over the chair role come October. And basically, you would learn some things about the chair role. It's not necessarily super in depth, but just as a co-facilitator of the meeting. If we don't have any hands and we're not able to reach a consensus today, it's just a matter of putting out the initiative that says, hey, if you feel you'd be a good person to serve in this position, let's put a note in the Discord there. That way everyone can have a week or two to review that. And then this would be the first item on the next meeting if we can't get a decision here today. So open this up to any thoughts or questions on the co-chair position. And co-chair, vice chair, we're using those interchangeably right now. I know they can have different meanings, but across the different committees, it means the same for us right now. Oops.
So yeah, I'm happy to continue facilitating things, but as you can see today, for example, I'm supposed to be in a co-work. Seems like they're doing renovations here. It's a mess, and so when sometimes I have these situations, it would be good to have someone that can facilitate the call instead of me, right? And so that's basically the ask, and yeah, there's also a meeting on early the week, 30 minutes, just to go over the minutes, the agenda items. And yeah, so it's not a huge ask, I think. I've been doing it for 6 months, and that's the reason why I feel like I haven't been able to contribute so much as a seat. And so if you could share this with me, it would be great, especially in days like today. And it's, yeah, that's what the reason why it's a co-chair position, not a chair or. So yeah, I just wanted to give you this input.
Here, go ahead.
Thank you, Lucas. The 30 minutes that you're talking about, is that the new invitation that I have for Tuesdays?
Yeah, so we decided to make that one open to everyone, because the same way we go to ISC and we're trying to get people to be able to be guests there or spectators, whatever the term is. Yeah, that one is going to start being open exactly because we felt like we need to involve everyone in deciding what we want to do as a committee. By the way, picking up on what Adam just said, we agree that the tone sometimes we can get to that feeling of, yeah, we need more projects and that people really want to take on. That's why I have a Miro board now as well to gather here from you guys. Okay, I want to do this, apart from everything that's on, or because you want to do, for example, Elaine was saying evangelism and commercialization. We can try to align and find initiatives on that aspect that Elaine can lead, but that we can all collaborate on. And I feel like those discussions can also happen on the call in the beginning of the week.
Okay, and so we have this 30-minute meeting where the chair and co-chair build the agenda. The rest of the committee, everyone is invited to send you or whoever the new co-chair is going to be, what they would like
that call.
to discuss. And they can either drop in during the call or send it ahead of time. So we have the invite on our calendars as a reminder. And then the role of the co-chair is to work with you on setting the agenda, and then if you can't make it to the meeting, to facilitate the meeting.
Yep, that's that. And also, that's the framework we're setting up here. If we're going to be collaborating in being co-chairs, is that for 6 months from now, I won't be here. And, we all do a number of things in Cardano, so I'm not planning to reapply for OSC, to be very frank. So you would be co-chair with someone else, and you would pass the baton, as they say, right?
So we have a chair, a co-chair, and they're offset ideally by 6 months. So ideally, we have a co-chair that just now started the term on OSC, and one of the new elected members who are interested in helping facilitate and shepherd this committee.
That's correct.
Essentially, it's just to make sure there's structure for every committee call.
Yeah. That makes
Right.
sense. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for clarifying.
So just to wrap it up, and so we can move on on today's call, I think it doesn't make sense to continue to just to push things to you guys. So if you're interested, step up. You have your time to reflect about that. Jorg, whoever is also interested, assuming that you have a bit of time to have that call or to be more present in that call on the early end of the week. But I wouldn't also want to push someone to just say on the next week we need to elect someone. So I'm happy to continue as we are for 2 weeks or two calls, let's say 4 weeks. I'm not rushing into it, so give it a thought.
I would say it was my hope for continuity and updates to have this done by the next meeting. If it has to go to the end of the month, we'll do that based on necessity. But we'll get with the others, and we now have, I think, 2 weekly calls that have been added. So we should have 4 meetings essentially for all of us to come together before the next OSC meeting. It's the way that works out. So I'm hopeful that we can work it out within those times. But yes. Any other questions on the co-chair, vice chair thing before we move on? Okie dokie. So what Lucas was mentioning here, we've had a Miro board. Unfortunately, we've just never used it. Here's the link for you all to hop in here, and then I will just switch from the agenda to the board. Don't want to take too much time on this, but we would love to at least start putting some things in here. And if the only encouragement is to do this while we're all in the same room, then obviously let's jump right up on it. But issues that are under discussion. So exactly like Adam raised, hey, what are we doing? That's a big deal, right? Obviously, we've got some Christian who's helping us out with some things that are coming in because we're expecting the budget sometime, in a hopeful world in the next 6 to 12 weeks. So how are we going to be fully prepared for that when that does come through? And what are some things that you all are aware of here with open source relative to Cardano, or what should be a committee focus here? And where does that go? Now, if this isn't working, I can just go to a general sticky format, but y'all let me know.
Maybe we can explore the evangelizations angle that Elaine shared earlier today.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that.
So what kind of actions or initiatives would you see that being?
So my main question about that is actually related to that. That was an idea that I had before I found out that there was like something in the pipeline for like the evangelism and liaising with people interested in building on Cardano. But at some point in the past, during one of these like OSC meetings, I heard that was a thing that like was already under consideration and stuff. So I guess I wanted to find out more about the pre-existing thoughts on that. If there's no if that's not like super like fleshed out at the moment, then I'm thinking that might be the sort of thing where like we might want people, like groups of people that can communicate about specific projects and stuff to advocate on their behalf and like wrangle and coordinate things.
I agree with that. That's why I wanted a role dedicated to that, at least from the open source office perspective. What I'm trying to work on right now is just having the onboarding mechanisms once evangelism prevails. Trying to build education catalogs, user journey stories, a hitchhiker's guide to Cardano. I should have something like that together over the next week. But definitely need to expand how we do this better. I mean, outside of hitting the Linux Foundation to-do group, and I guess the Chaos Project every now and then, I'm trying to work on better socials and evangelism. I'm not an expert at this, so I welcome deep thoughts. But we definitely need to gauge that Web 2 to Web 3 bridge too.
So I missed a bit of that because I was trying to get people to quiet down here. But maybe we can find partners to help Elaine, someone that wants to jump in and team up.
I think in particular, like once like we have like a user story on that, or like as we're like developing that and stuff, it'd be good to figure out like a little bit of like historical information on like who's built on Cardano, like historical projects and that. Obviously, like, you know, there's like anecdotes and stuff about like World Mobile like trying to build on Cardano and like, you know, sort of getting a little bit of distance after. But if we could, you know, collect that and you know, have some idea of like who to really like focus that outreach on, and inform that by like historical like information about projects, that would be super helpful.
Adam, I know IO engages you a lot to talk Hydra and other stuff. What's your take over 2024 on the evangelism side for IO projects?
I mean, I don't know. I go around the world and I yap at people and I ask them about their Cardano and what Cardano can do for them. And some of that is through IO, some has been through Intersect, and then some is just I like to travel and talk to people. Yeah, I think that definitely helps, and it is part kind of what I've been piloting this year so far, like starting with the event in Japan that I saw Elaine at, is trying to actually ask people what they need the blockchain to solve for them, rather than tell them what the blockchain, what problems they have that the blockchain is a good use for. Because yeah, like when it comes to, but you do have to kind of scope and tailor your talk depending on the audience. If you're evangelizing to developers to come and build, that's a whole different discussion versus evangelizing users to come and use and hold, or investors and why they should invest. So there is nuance there as well, even within evangelism, in terms of the amount and type of data that you're portraying, and I guess the level of selective disclosure on the amount of skeletons you're willing to discuss as well, right? Because if I'm trying to actively attract developers, I probably don't want to share a bunch of anecdotes about the horrible UX that we had maybe years ago that doesn't necessarily hold true anymore. So yeah, just kind of being mindful of all of those things, but it's definitely a constantly evolving and expanding thing, you know, at least for me, in terms of constantly learning how to get better engagement from those people that you are evangelizing to, and then try to pick out what points are actually relevant and topical to them when you're having those conversations, and then throw in a language barrier on top of it, and it gets really exciting.
Yeah,
Thanks,
language
Jared.
is a transversal problem that we should align in solving as an ecosystem. I'm also working a lot on grassroots movements and communities, and we feel that as well. So it would be great to have sort of like well, community hubs try to be that or something. But Sebastian.
Yeah, I think there is this is a game of how we balance the evangelization in these pure technical scenarios and these big events where many teams from different ecosystems and different projects attend, and other less formal scenarios where more academic in universities, for example, where in some way Cardano funds those kind of events. I'm speaking of thinking on hackathons, these seasoned events that take place for a few weeks. In my case, for example, in Gimbal Labs, for example, we are supporting some projects from Cardano members that are working in their local universities, in their local communities, right? So it's a balance. It's a constant activity between those kind of scenarios. My concern is how we can measure the effectivity or the efficiency of each one of those, right? Because there is advantages in every single one of those scenarios, and there are disadvantages in terms of how effective it is to bring people to Cardano in each of those scenarios. Yeah, thanks a lot. That's my reflection. Thanks a lot.
I was going to add to that. That's a perfect point. We also have that summer of code thing in the budget. I have no expertise on how to do that. I don't know if someone wanted to help pioneer that effort. I know it was Robin's idea, but I think he's off the OSC, but I'll still gauge him on the side. Here.
I can speak to the Google Summer of Code. I have done that in the Chaos community before. It is a great program for bringing in temporary new contributors. The way it is set up, there's an application period where the organization puts together a profile. This is who we are, and finds mentors and potential projects. No, Elaine, this is the Community Health Analytics open source software project at the Linux Foundation. It's not the Chaos Computer Club, which I also adore, and I love what they're doing. So going back to the Google Summer of Code, so step one is, as an organization, we would have to put together a description of what we want to do. We need to identify mentors and projects that they would mentor. The potential projects need to be scoped so that they're feasible within the summer months, and that we submit that, and Google reviews it and says, yes, you can be an organization, or no, you haven't prepared enough, and then we're not selected. The next phase is a community engagement phase where a lot of students, so mostly university students who are looking for a paid internship during the summer, engage with the community. They ask questions, they contact the mentors, they want to know about the project, they want to learn, they want to set up the tooling, and they have to write a proposal what they want to accomplish during the summer. So the projects that the mentors propose are high level. Here's the problem statement, here's what needs to be solved. The students then write a timeline, how they want to do it, how they want to solve it, how week by week what the milestones are. And then there is a review period of those applications where the mentors look through the applications and decide who they want to work with. As the administrator, so there's two roles here. There's the administrator at the org level, and then the mentors who are managing the projects and the interns. As the administrator, you need to get the reviews from the mentors. They need to enter that into the Google platform. And so by a certain deadline, then Google reviews everything that we put in and says, these students get funded, these projects get funded, and these others do not. And then the period starts where the mentors work with the mentees, and there are a couple checkpoints throughout the summer where the mentors need to report back, say, yes, they're on track, or no, they're not on track, because that determines whether the money gets paid out to the student. And at the very end, the mentors, I think there's also a small reward for the mentors that is paid to the organization. And Google also organizes a mentor summit, at least in the past they have, where all the mentors from all the organizations can come together and exchange experiences and celebrate the summer. So it's, from an administrative perspective, a lot of cat herding and making sure the mentors get the reviews in, coordinating with mentors, setting up the space where the projects are advertised and the descriptions are posted. So from my understanding is that is what we in OSC would be helping with, and then the mentorship would be done by maintainers or people who are working on specific projects.
I don't know if there's anything else on this current topic. We're getting close to the end of our meeting time. Just wanted to re-encourage everyone to please keep access to this. And actually, I'm sorry, Phil, let me go ahead and put it back in here for you because I know you joined a little bit later. The mirror board, if you did not already have access, please hop in here, put anything that you have in terms of thoughts. We can really expand this issues under discussion box. I just want to get some trackability on that. So let me actually, if it'll let me here, I'm going to move this up. And then I will just expand this box. So go ahead and keep doing some stickies and just anything that you have here so that we can keep discussing it. And then, Phil, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to flip back to the agenda here for just a second. If we can get a check-in from you as far as what's been going on or what you have planned.
Yeah,
Phil
Phil
dropped
dropped back off.
Oh, he did? I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I will pass this on to Lucas then for the meeting that he hosted last week and to close this out, unless there's anything else for anyone to bring up. Is that good for you, Lucas?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for this opportunity. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment and try to be very to the point. Actually, I think most of us know Ryan from GovTools team, and it's interesting that he was actually asking me what's the purpose of the initiative. So while we were on this call, I was actually typing to him as well. So it's basically to get people to sit at the same table, the developer, the governance tool builders. And can you read this somehow? Yeah, can someone hear me? Alex, Adam?
Yeah, it's good to go. Like we can.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is something I've mentioned in this committee. I've mentioned to ISC. I keep seeing a lot of people building different tools. I know, for example, Adam was doing something that's very specific, that's off-chain, but even for the situation of the GovTools not being funded, we have one job. It's to establish governance and for it to be fluid and efficient. And we have 10 people doing different tools. So I just came up with a call where I sat these people up in the same call, and they were exchanging ideas for a bit. The agenda is fairly in discovery mode as well. There's also this guy, Nuno, from Independent Thing initiative that talks about governance. And there's a number of other things that we could talk about as a group. But yeah, zooming all this out, just before that, overall, there's core motivations, there's data here, so indexing and submitting, sharing these kinds of resources, open sourceness. This is more for each tool to declare their open sourceness. And there's also here funding and business model, more UI-like features, and a roadmap, if any. So this the spectrum here would be, it was a one-off, or it's something that we want to take on very seriously. So yeah, just to wrap this quick intro up, the main motivations that as I was responding to Ryan here are that to create a board, a chat, and calls. Probably I'm going to promote that we do another one next week. And the motivation, the core one here, I think, is more about the fragmentation of features across tools. So imagine Ryan is here saying, oh, whoever wants can just contribute to GovTool. That's not been happening. And in the end, what we have as an ecosystem is the listing for DREPs is better on unpopular else tool, but the voting is better on some other tool. And then the governance review, the actual proposals reviewing is better on other tools. So it's damaging the data holders UX, and UX matters in defining, or it's determinant to the quality of the votes and the quality of what gets funded, and the quality of the course of Cardano. I don't think I'm overstating that, to be honest. So yeah, get people to sit together, opportunity to exchange components. For example, one thing that happened on the last call was explicitly someone saying, I like your feature for this, you like my feature for that. I'm going to link my screen from here to your list of something rather than show mine. So this overall is going to connect the UX across the 10 tools that we have, but eventually maybe people can start sharing components and coalescing a bit their what they're building. Also, by creating a space where people can sit at the same table, maybe these two guys are just going to team up and duplicate this one because it's going to be incorporated into this one. So let me know. I'm very curious about feedback, and sorry for taking a bit too long to say this. Any thoughts? Jump in, please. Can I get thumbs up or thumbs down on does this make sense, or you think I'm crazy?
I think it sounds good. I think it's pretty high priority, especially given that, like we mentioned before, GovTools no longer has funding and stuff. So especially figuring out like how the funding is going to happen for the governance tools is pretty important. Deduplication of that stuff would also probably help, reduce the fragility of stuff. Yeah, I'm very much in favor of that. If anything, I feel like the concern might be that we might need a lot of follow-up on this, because I don't think that this is like a situation where the entropy will just naturally reduce on its own. So making sure that something happens with that rather than just nothing is pretty important, because I don't think that the current state is long-term sustainable.
Yeah. Georg, is this on topic, or do you want to flip?
No, this is what you were just showing.
Okay. Jump in, please.
Many different tools who are good at different things. That is part of the innovation that happens in open source, where different builders can try out different ideas, which is good and I think needs to be encouraged. I also think it's good to get together and learn from each other and improve each other's tool with the ideas that others have tried out.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never say that we need to just get everyone just working all the time in one tool. I just think we went a bit too broad currently. And also, I'm not going to share my screen, but on the Miro board that I linked, there's also a SWOT analysis. And one thing that we discussed is that it could be sort of a risk if it's so fragmented that someone just starts getting on-chain funded for millions for having a de facto default, promoting themselves with the funds they get, and that becomes a recursive loop where it's sort of monopolized even. So I don't want that, and that's why collaborating around Gov tools needs to be in our ethos. If you want to switch to the next topic, Christian.
Yeah, just because there's a lot in the pipeline, we got to get set up before budget comes in. Would anyone be okay if we did like a tentative work session optional next week, same time? Me and Tex are going to be going hard to get all these frameworks and drafts of stuff started. And that way we can just get quick decisions made and the committees take. Because the other thing is we need rules to operate by. We need to get leads for different things that haven't been started that we don't have expertise in, and guidance on how we're going to do execution vehicles. And I'll also get the tooling working group, some calls set up for Wednesday with everyone, if that works, for those who volunteered. But the other thing was those 2 docs. I do think we need to get detailed reviews on those. People just put your thoughts and concerns, because that's going to be the guiding framework for a couple $1 million. So that's why they're very intensive and detailed, and we can do short notes. I just wanted to have an operating detailed guide that answers all the specific questions that may come up during that. So that was just my quick add.
I can be on a call next week, and I'd like to underline what Tex started with the Miro board. I think we should really collaborate. I think this call was interesting because we got to start having the check-ins on the beginning of the call. I'm very open about the fact that some people are not motivated, and we need to find things that motivate people. And I hope that Miro board is a place where we can drop ideas, and also the things that Christian was just saying, we can have some kind of Kanban or something as a group as a committee of seats that helps push those things forward.
Okay. And I'll keep things alive on the internal chat as well for the different work items for people who have to be mobile as well.
I think that's basically it, right? Any thoughts from anyone? Lovely, Christian.
Yay!
Final thoughts.
Christian, I don't know if you want to stop the call, at least the recording, or some chit chat. I move to close the meeting officially.
Yep. I'll still be online after.
Yeah, so if you can stop the recording.
Okay, guys. I think that's it. Thank you. See you soon.
Thanks. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Right.